Today in our Meet the Builder series, we've got Burt Quarles from Sterling Custom Homes, and I'm very excited to talk to him. I love this home that we're in. I first saw it last year and I fell in love with it because I think it's just absolutely stunning. You guys did it right for sure, and you guys hit the nail on the head. For all of the homes you do a great job. Thank you for joining me today and being here.
You're welcome, and thank you for the kind words. There's a lot of love and attention goes into it. So
good, yeah, and you can totally tell. You know, it looks all custom, which is what you're going for. You know, a lot of builders sometimes have things that are great. You know, they just don't look as customized as what I see in your homes. And I know that they're built specifically for people. You know, they're not just like spec homes necessarily, but I love the attention to detail and everything that you put into it. So
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about yourself first. So because people are going to meet you when they work with you. So
okay. I have been in the construction industry since 2006.
Okay.
I'm a product of the Rinker School at UF.
Okay.
And graduated there and went down to Windermere and kind of built really high-end custom homes down there. A little bit different market than Gainesville.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I got my experience from, and came back here around 2010.
Okay.
And very different world from the two of them, but I really just kind of fell in love with home building and clients, and it's very different from the commercial aspect where you really have more of a personal relationship and not as much of a business transaction. It really matters. It's people's lives.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I like about real estate. It's people's lives that you're dealing with, you know, and you just have to, you do stuff that it's for them, like psychologically and, you know, for their heart, you know, not so much just, you know, to meet a bottom line or something like that. I do love residential sales, and you love residential building. So yeah. So what brought you back to Gainesville?
Well, we had a recession.
Well, we did, yeah.
That definitely helped. You know, my wife and I were from Gainesville, and we loved it here.
Yeah.
And you know, her family is still here, and when we moved down there, we knew it was, we didn't know how long we'd be there, but we knew at some point we'd be back to Gainesville.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, the Gainesville vortex sucks you in.
It is home, and we love calling it home.
Yeah. Same. I love calling it home. It's a wonderful place. So tell me a little bit about the process. So if I were to say, okay, I want to go build a house with Sterling Custom Homes, what would that entail?
So there's two ways you can come to us. You can come to us with just some ideas in your head of what you want, and we can bring an architect on board. We have a couple really good architects that we like to work with, and we can go through the design process all the way through final construction. Or we oftentimes have people that come that already have a set of plans. They've already worked with an architect, and they bring us a set of plans, and we get, you know, kind of talk to them about the details and what they're looking for and the level of execution, and just let them know that, you know, who we are and what we do. There's basically one of two ways. You either bring your plans to us or we design it. Most of ours actually seem like we're helping them to design the plans, which we enjoy doing. It's a fun process going through that. And it gives you a much better understanding of what they really want when you get to be part of that design, and then you get to help shape what the house is going to look like from even a deeper level than when you're just building it. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I love helping with the design process when I'm allowed to do that, which I have been on a couple of occasions. You know, people who've been building custom homes have said, well, as our realtor, you know, give us some input as to how this and that should look. So I can't even imagine the excitement of doing it from the beginning. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun because, you know, the reality is you're not going to keep building yourself a home over and over. But as you're going through the construction, you always come up with new ideas. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to use this idea on this house. Or, oh, I love this set of doors. I can't wait till we find a good location for this. Or this ceiling detail, there's going to be the right client that's going to love this. And so it's fun when you come up with these ideas, and then when you see, oh, here's the chance where this finally gets to be used. And sometimes you might have an idea for years before there's a chance for it to be used for something. And other times you'll see something and the next day they're like, oh yeah, I loved that idea. So, but it's really fun because we're constantly looking for new ideas. We're looking at what other builders are doing, you know, all over the country. We're looking at online at videos and at websites websites, and you're just seeing, okay, what are things that, what are the new cutting edge things? How can we continue to make a big impact with our style and what we're doing?
So when you talk about cutting edge things, like what kind of cutting edge things do you incorporate into your building?
So there's different ways you can look at it. You can look from, design, like right now, the whole wet bathroom where you got the shower and tub, that's become very popular, and that's something that's very aesthetic that people see. But then there's also the things that are behind the scenes that nobody ever knows about, the mechanical systems, making sure that you're giving a client a home that's not just pretty, but it lives really well and it breathes really well, and it's going to contribute positively to the family dynamic on a daily basis, that when you walk through and tour a house, you don't even realize what's going on. But when you live in the house, you're like, oh, now I understand. And so there's different things. There's construction styles that, make sure we can insulate the house properly and make sure, the air conditioning system is even and balanced, and just a lot of different things that are going on. And we like to make sure that we're doing the right things that some builders might not do, but we just feel like, if it's my house, this is what I'm going to do. And that's how we're going to build. And, sometimes it can be hard if you're trying to compare one builder to the next and they're doing different things.
Right.
You see a picture and the picture doesn't tell the full story of what's happening in that build. And so we take a lot of pride in what's happening behind the curtain, so to speak.
So when you say certain things are going behind the curtain, so what, like in terms of insulation or general, like the construction of the house and all that, what things would set you apart?
So spray foam insulation is a must. Pretty much every house, unless somebody asks not to do it, we're doing spray foam insulation as a standard. We typically are going with variable speed, 18, 19 SEER mechanical systems, dehumidifiers in the house.
Oh, that's good.
Sometimes bringing in, makeup air to make sure because we're buttoning these houses up so tight, you got to make sure you got good quality fresh air coming in. So there's things like that. There's ways that you can frame your walls to make sure you maximize the energy efficiency and where you get your insulation. That old school framing would block off corners that you never get insulated and become hot spot in the house. And so you make sure you're framing it to maximize the energy efficiency. So there's a lot of things like that behind the scenes, we know we do. Our supers know that these are important to us, but the average person doesn't. They'll never know, and they don't need to know. They just need to know that they're getting a superior product.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, I'm sure that the people who work with you are incredibly grateful for all these extras that you put into it, and the extra thought that you put into it, like the framing and all of that. Like I didn't know that, and so it's interesting, to know that that's a feature that maybe now people will ask for. Like, well, this is how it needs to be. I heard it.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully they'll ask you. And then that way
For sure.
you can build their house. Now, in terms of homes, so do you have a style of home that you build? Or
I don't know that we have a style. I've had the opportunity to build everything from French country and Mediterranean to, this is a beautiful coastal house that we've gotten. I enjoy doing the farmhouses. There's a lot of different styles. I don't have a favorite. What I like is when we get to really do cool details and we get to do things that are not normal that every house is going to have. That's the fun thing for me. I love building. We build in subdivisions, but we also love building on people's personal lots where they go and they find a piece of land, and because it's this whole dream coming true of this piece of land, usually out in the country or something, and sometimes on the water or different things, and you get to build this house that fits it. So I love doing most styles. The modern, we've done that. It's we've done a lot of different things, and it's just fun getting to do details that are not just anybody can do, where you have to really put a lot of thought and figure out how are we going to make this all work and make it special and unique for each client.
I like that. Yeah. And that's incredible. You've had that kind of variety, because Mediterranean to modern is quite a stretch. They're very, very different.
It is.
And so, that speaks to your talent and abilities to be able to do both of those things, and the architects that you work with too.
A lot of the architects are tremendously involved in creating these plans, and obviously we usually work with them to help them flesh out some of the ideas and thoughts on how it's going to go together, because we're going to have to do it in the field. So they got to put together something that's practical. But yeah, we've been lucky to work with some great architects. So
Clearly. So you mentioned water. We don't have a lot of water here in Gainesville.
not in Gainesville.
So where have you built? How far do you span?
So we primarily are on the western side of Alachua.
Okay.
So, which there's not a whole lot of, mostly you go to the eastern side of Alachua is where more of the water is. And that's kind of where I grew up, was on the eastern side of Alachua.
Okay.
I was fortunate, like went down in Windermere, building on the Butler chain of lakes was a lot of fun. So I built a lot of houses down there. But there's some different rock quarries that have some water features and stuff around here that we've gotten to build on, and those are really beautiful to bring together.
Yeah, no, I love quarries. I think they're spectacular. There's the one in Gainesville, or like that one neighborhood that has homes that look into the quarry and the water, and you feel like you're somewhere else.
There's even more quarries that most people don't even realize that are around Gainesville that are just on private land, and until the client brings you in, you never knew this piece of land even existed, and then you're like, wow, this is gorgeous. I did not know this was in the middle of Gainesville.
No, that's very cool. I didn't know that either. So it would be very neat to be able to see them, even though they're on these private land.
Right.
So anyway, but yeah. So tell me a little bit about. Do you have a favorite project that you worked on?
Favorite project. One of my favorite projects I've done is we did a renovation across from campus, across from the stadium, from a 1940s house.
Okay.
And we kind of modernized it, but it was pretty much a full cut renovation addition. We raised part of the roof.
Oh, wow.
And when you get into that old style construction and you got to blend it with new construction, it takes another level of understanding of what's going on, because they did things so different back then. And it's a lot of fun as you open up the walls and see how they used to do it, dealing with some of the materials that they used to get to deal with that we don't have the same access to. We have different things that they didn't have, but that was one of the funnest projects, because there was a lot of thought that had to go into how do we make this look like this has always been like this, but it hasn't always been like this.
Yeah, it's completely different.
That one was really fun. This project was really fun. This was our first house to get into a parade of homes, and it was a huge priority for us to do a great job, and a lot of attention went into it, a lot of work went into it. Had delays like every job has, and has setbacks, and the crew came together just unbelievably to get this thing done in a very tight deadline. And so it was fun, because I think when you go through hard things and you overcome them, the people that you do them with, you come out tighter with and better with. You're bonded, So this was a great house to get to work on.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and when you go through something together, you're like in it forever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned, so renovations. So you do more than just build from scratch. You do renovations. So tell me about that.
Yeah, we do larger renovations and additions. Obviously, we're still in the same genre of higher end luxury homes. We have a handful of architects that know that we work in that and recommend us to their clients. And then we also have clients come to us, and we have some designers that can kind of help them through that process. The process is not all that different from the new custom, from as far as getting a design and getting the contract and going through it. But the complexity of dealing with the renovations is much more difficult and challenging, because you don't know what you're going to face until you start opening up walls.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's things that you never knew were there, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to problem solve. On the new houses, a lot of the stuff we do is the same. As far as the structure goes and the roofs, and you do the same thing. Now, obviously the details get to be special, but on the renovations, every single element you're trying to figure out, how do we make this electrical work? How do we make the framing work? And so the renovations bring a whole different challenge, and that's fun.
Yeah, that is fun. Do you have designers also that you work with?
We do.
Okay.
We have a couple different designers that we've actually probably maybe 4 or 5 different designers, but we have a couple that we usually bring to the table, and then there's a handful of others that we've gotten to work with locally.
That's great. Yeah, yeah, because then that brings everything together.
Yes.
Have you ever done anything for somebody who just kind of said, make me a house and design it inside and out, and that's that?
I've had people who did that with the designer, and then the designer brought us in.
Okay.
But I didn't get to be from the scratch with that. We get a mixture of people who, yes, bring me a designer that I know kind of what I like, I know my style, but I don't have the time or the energy to go through trying to figure out all these details. This is the stuff I like, go do it. And then we have other clients that they want to be intimately involved in every single decision. And the reality is we're good either way. Like we can embrace whichever way you want to do it. I think it's a lot of wisdom to bring a designer in, no matter how much you think you know as a homeowner.
Yes.
Bringing a designer in to at least bounce ideas off of at the very least is a great idea.
Definitely.
But some people still say, hey, you know what? This is my 3rd or 4th house. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And we still hit a home run.
Yes, yeah. I've worked with people like that too, who've built from scratch and they did it right, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
But I can't believe they could do that, just because I wouldn't be able to make a decision like that many decisions, by myself.
In the custom world, there's so many options.
Yeah.
And so that's what ends up really just paralyzing people, is there's so many things to choose from.
Yes.
And so bringing a designer in that can narrow down the options for them, it really helps the project continue to move along. And there's some people that are really good with decisions, and
Yeah.
you could throw a million things at them and they're going to make a decision and it's going to keep moving. And some people, it's just overwhelms them. And you can see it really early on if it's going to overwhelm them, and you say, okay, we know we need to bring in some people to help them with this process. So.
Yeah. Or give them fewer options.
That's right.
1 or 2. Number 1 or number 2.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so there's, you try to figure out what is your client's needs in order to we want to make their dreams come true, right? We want to build them a house that they're going to love and just for a lifetime be able to brag to their friends about the house and the builders that built it for them. So.
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, that's how you build a reputation, right? So has anybody ever come to you with something and like that's kind of crazy, over the top, and then you kind of have to whittle it down from there, or you just go with whatever their imagination, provides?
I've been brought a few different crazy ideas, yes. The whole metal container houses.
Yes.
I did not do it. We went through a lot of process and it eventually didn't happen. That one did scare me a lot.
Not for everybody.
I have done ICF also, and that was fun. That is,
okay.
Are you familiar with the ICF?
Talk to me.
So ICF is, I like to describe them as big Legos. They're big foam blocks that you make the walls out of. So you've got thick foam on each side of the wall, and you pour solid concrete in the middle. So
I have seen that.
So energy efficiency wise, it's like living in a Yeti.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool system. It's structurally about as strong as you can get. So they're very popular on the coast. Okay. For hurricanes and stuff, it is a fantastic system. In Gainesville, we don't get those same kind of storms, right. So it's a little bit of an overkill for us. Yeah. But it's a really cool thing to get to work with, and it's fun just doing different processes, and learning about different ways of doing stuff. And I'm sure we will do more ICF houses in the future, but it takes a special client that understands the value of them to do it.
Sure. Well, maybe as the weather keeps changing, you'll need to do more of them. You never know. So tell me, is there anything that you want everybody to know about you that, sets you apart from everyone else?
Sure. So there's a lot of great builders around, and we have a lot of good relationships with them. I think we have a fantastic community professionally. Most of those builders, they have model homes that, they might do some purely custom, but they also have model homes that they sell. We are a pure custom builder. Every home we build is designed and built specifically for that person or for that situation. Everyone is unique in their own way. And of course that brings challenges, but that's a lot of fun as opposed to when you build the same model multiple times.
Sure.
Another thing is I see a lot when we talk with clients that one of the biggest challenges builders have is communication. And so we have put into place a system that we go above and beyond to communicate with our clients.
I like that.
It's important to us. We definitely have struggles dealing with communication at times, and we do everything we can to make sure those struggles are never felt by the homeowner. And so we have, like I said, very intentional systems in place to ensure good communication. And we take a lot of pride in that. We take a lot of pride in the level of execution that we have and our systems that we have in place to ensure that every home has the same quality. No matter how big, if you come to us and say we want a 2,000 square foot home or a 10,000 square foot home, the level of attention to detail is not going to vary. The size and magnitude varies, but you're going to get the same builder and you're going to get the same systems, you're going to get the same quality. And we take a lot of pride in that.
I like that. I like that. Well, that sounds like the Engel and Volker's motto of luxury is a service, not a price point.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
So yeah, you can't take it.
can't take
They already took
They
that.
already have it.
Yeah, that's
But we
already their
love
thing.
Engel and
But,
Volker, so
but yeah, yeah. I like that. That you pay the same attention to detail as it should be.
Right, it should be.
As it totally should be. So you're doing it right. At least I think you're doing it right.
That's our goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you? Who's your typical client? Is there such a thing as a typical client?
I'd say most of our clients are, young families, professionals that appreciate quality. They understand the difference in just, what does it look like and how does it live for a year versus how does it live and hold up for the next 10 years or 20 years that they're living in it. So I'd say the typical person understands and values the quality and attention to details.
Okay, I like that. And do you see people coming? I mean, are your clients usually local people, or do a lot of them come from other places? And the reason I ask that is because oftentimes I've noticed that people who are coming from other places might appreciate the details a little bit more. So
Yeah, we have a unique market here that those detail appreciation is growing.
yeah,
But for a long time, we just didn't have the high-end luxury level that like Central Florida had. It was a different market. And as we see people move here, we've seen Gainesville and Alachua County grow, and those things are becoming much more important and relevant. We get a combination of local but I'd say there is a lot that come from out of town. Recently, we've had a lot of interest from people from South Florida.
yep,
But yeah, there's a pretty high percentage of people that are coming from out of town to move here.
yeah. We're getting a major influx from South Florida. I mean, even we're experiencing that. They found out about our little gem here,
Yeah.
and now they're making it a big gem because
Yes.
we're getting lots of people moving here. So,
Yeah.
which is great.
It is.
I love it.
The Gainesville community is changing. It's always been known as a college town, and it'll always be a college town.
Sure.
But the amount of professionals and business that is growing in Gainesville, it's a lot of fun to see when you spent most of your life here
Yes.
and you see how it's evolved. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, it is really cool. I've been here, not including college, but been back like 25 years. So
Right.
seeing that definitely.
Oh, in the last
change.
25 years, tremendously.
Tremendous. In the last 10 years,
Yes.
it's been crazy. So, it's amazing, what's been going on here. And only seeing it grow more and more into places like Alachua,
Yes.
which, used to be so only rural, I guess. And now you've got pockets of, lots of subdivisions and all that, and businesses moving here and all that. So it's a buzz.
It is. Definitely is.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that. All right. So tell me, what is the process like? Like if I come to you and I say, I want to go ahead and use you guys to build, and I have this idea. So where do we go from there?
So first thing we'll do is we'll have a meeting with our designer and you, and we'll kind of talk through the ideas. She'll go back and she will put together usually like 3 different plans, just like preliminary plans to start with, and say, okay, based off of our conversations and whatnot, these are 3 ideas I have to start from. And usually that narrows down to one like that. Usually one of them you instantly see and like, oh, that's it. I like that a lot. And then from there, there's usually 2 or 3 more edits where we sit down and we say, I like this, but can we do this? Can we do that? Can this be moved? This whole process goes back and forth, like I said, maybe 4 times, 5 times, depending on how quick we can narrow into exactly what you want. It typically is going to take about 2 to 3 months to go through the design process. That can vary depending on how quick you are at getting us your ideas and what you want. Some people live very busy lives, and they got to block out time to sit down and go through that thought process, because it takes a lot of thinking, to figure out, how am I going to use this space? What do I like? Other people, like the second you send them a set of plans, they're sending you edits back like within an hour, and you're like, holy smoke, that was quick. Right. So, but typically it's going to take 2 to 3 months to go through the design.
Okay.
After the design, it's going to take, depending on the jurisdiction, so most of ours is Alachua County, it's going to take 1 to 2 months to go through permitting.
Sure.
And then the length of construction is really going to depend on the size and complexity of the house. Average house is probably around 8 months. A larger house is going to be closer to a year.
Okay. That's not bad.
No, and obviously we're not in the market of just seeing how fast we can build your house.
Right.
Everybody has a timeline, right? Everybody's trying to move in for whatever reason, but if you're trying to see how quick we can build your house, we're probably not the right builder. Yeah. Because, and it's not that we're slow, it's because if you do things right, they take time. And if you have the right subs, it takes time to make sure you got the right people on your job. And they're not just sitting around waiting on the phone call. They're working hard already. So there's just a process to it. So yeah, usually 8 to 12 months in construction, plus 4 or 5 months in design and permitting.
That's great. And so from the time that I open the door to meet you to the time that I open the door to my new home, you're
looking at probably 12 to 16 months.
All right. Which again is not bad, at all. I've heard much longer, and I think it's because they're bigger box builders that are kind of doing some spec homes and some custom homes, and it's just delayed like 2 years out and all that. So that's, which is a long time to wait for a brand new home.
It is a long time to wait. It definitely is. And so we try to, like I said, we're not building for speed, but we want to get after it. We enjoy building, and we're one of the younger companies in our area. I've been doing this for a while, but our company's only 5 years old. Okay. And so we're working hard to build our reputation, and it's been a process, and it's been a lot of fun. Sure. But we still see so much growth happening. And, we know the only way we continue to grow our company is by doing an amazing job for clients. And so that's where our focus is just continuing to deliver amazing products for people.
And speaking of amazing products, how many do you do a year right now?
So between the additions and renovations, probably looking at any given time, we could be working on 3 to 5 at any given time. So probably finishing about that same number per year.
Okay. All
so,
right. Yeah.
And that's not including, when we get some really smaller ones that are, simple that we get in and out, but those are not our typical.
Right. No, I meant like the bigger projects. Yeah, for sure. Because then you also have another division that in your company, so you've
Right.
got to work, on non-residential things.
Correct.
So that's important too. You've got. Now, I'm guessing it's different people doing those jobs.
It is. It is.
But yeah, so I was just counting, your custom home portion of it.
Yeah, so I'd say 3 to 5 at any given time projects that are active.
Okay, great. All right. Is there anything else that I've left out?
I think that's it.
That's
I
it?
think so.
Okay.
If you leave me to think long enough, I'll continue to come up with something to say.
Well, that's okay. We don't want you later to be like, oh, I should have mentioned that. I didn't mention that. Why didn't I say it? Thank you so much for sharing your time and being here and telling us a little bit about, Sterling Custom Homes and all the wonderful things that you all do in your process. And hopefully that will help someone get to know you a little bit better and make up their minds and decide to build with you. So yeah, well, and congratulations on a great company.
Thank you so much. I appreciate a chance to get in front of you and just kind of talk about what we do.
Yeah, well, it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.